Hello and welcome to the MAC weather page for this Friday, January 11th. And if we take a look at yesterday's time lapse, you can see there were some clouds certainly around, but we also had some peaks of sunshine, so not a bad day. Certainly a cooler day, highs only in the 20s, and we expect overall a pretty seasonably cool pattern to continue into next week. But things could get very interesting as we get towards next weekend, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But the headlines, lots of clouds today, and then I think as we get into, it should be late tonight into Saturday, we'll have a chance for some flurries to the northern areas, most of the areas, maybe a little bit more in the way of light snow as you get into extreme southern lower Michigan, as the storm that's expected to move across the Tennessee and Ohio valleys should contain most of the heavier snows well south of the state. But again, couldn't rule out a dusting to maybe, if the track goes a little farther north, maybe an inch or two across extreme southeast lower Michigan. But again, right now, the best bet is just flurries or light snow, with maybe a dusting down in that area. And again, no big cold or big storms for the MAC and LAC areas through early next week. And then we do have some deep winter cold that's certainly going to be on the way, and we'll show you that in a minute. And again, next weekend could get very interesting, and we could have some bitterly cold air that might follow a potential storm here, so we'll keep an eye on that here. So plenty going on here as far as our patterns. We'll get ready to switch to a very cold winter-like pattern, but again, not for much of next week. It'll be pretty decent with temperatures near to maybe slightly above normal. Our normal high is 27 and normal low is 12. And if we look at yesterday, we had a high of 26 and a low of 20. Just a trace of precipitation in the form of some snow flurries across the area. Now these temperatures here in January, a couple days ago, they were over 10 degrees above normal per day. We're down to 7.3. And with that bitterly cold air coming in, despite some little bit above normal temperatures here in the next week, we could end up actually colder than normal for the month of January. That's how cold this air mass is going to be the last about 8 to 10 days of the month. And if we look at sunrise this morning at 8:09, it'll set tonight at 5:22. And if we look at temperatures out there this morning, mainly in the teens, cool spot where there's a little bit more breaks this time of year often. Temperatures down into the mid-teens here at Marlette and at Brown City, 17.5, or at Sandusky High School, 16.5 at Breckenridge Elementary School. And again, the warm spot in Owego at 20, a little bit closer to some of the influences of Lake Michigan. If we look at satellite view this morning, you can see our next storm that's developing off to the southwest. It'll move out of Texas and Oklahoma and dip just a little bit to the southeast and then move towards the mid-Atlantic states down into the Carolinas, and that'll spread moderate to heavy snows across areas from Missouri all the way into the mid-Atlantic states. It'll weaken a little bit as it heads to the east. So I think the heaviest snowfall is going to be across northeastern Missouri into southern and south central Illinois into southwest Indiana as it looks right now. On the radar this morning here, again, just a little weak disturbance coming down through the area, but it's hitting a lot of dry air, so chances are most of our area will probably stay dry today. Can't rule out a renegade snow flurry, but overall it looks like a pretty calm pattern, especially for the central and northern areas right on through much of next week as it looks right now, as many areas may not see any precipitation. If we look at the weather map this morning, you can see our low pressure system developing across the southwest. And again, heavy snow will break out today across portions of Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana, and that'll spread to the east. But the low pressure system will eventually drive itself a little bit farther south, begin to dampen out here. Some heavy snow expected again tomorrow across portions of Indiana and southern Ohio into the Virginias, freezing rain off to the south. And then finally that system will begin to weaken a little bit more and become a little bit more diffused, keeping some of the lighter precipitation and icy mixes off to the southeast. But again, for the Great Lakes, we'll be high and dry, and we expect high pressure to dominate our weather right on through most of next week as it looks right now. In fact, the 7-day precipitation looks like high and dry for much of the area here for the MAC and LAC areas. Again, we'll watch this area to make sure that that storm doesn't creep a little farther north. Again, if anyone's going to see some snow on the ground from this next system, it'll probably be places like Blissfield and Jasper as it looks right now. And as far as that snowfall goes, you can see the snowfall indicates that could creep into lower Michigan, but by and large, the heaviest snow will be well to our south here over the next couple of days. And if we look at the next slide here, we've been talking about this flip to our cold weather for almost a month now, and you can see what we look for is this horseshoe pattern over the top, and that usually puts a lot of cold air This is a 500 millibar pattern, but again, you can see things become very favorable in the 8 to 14 to 15 to 21 and a 21 to 20 or 22 to 28 day forecast, which takes us well into February. And actually beyond that, we think February will continue to be cold, as it could be a brutally cold month. And again, we'll talk about this at some of the Outlook conferences here. One for the MAC Outlook conference will be on Thursday, February 7th in Bath, and then a couple of conferences over in Ontario, Wednesday the 21st and February the 27th, also on a Wednesday. And again, if you want to attend any of those meetings, I'll talk about that. The remainder of the winter, what we might expect. We'll also take a look at the spring, and more importantly, what the 2019 growing season may have in store based off some of the big driving patterns that we see coming up. Again, we'll talk about those. So if you want to attend any of those meetings, just get a hold of your local branch and either sign up, or you can sign up online. As far as our forecast goes today, temperatures in the mid to upper 20s across much of the area. Again, we're showing some snow, about a 60% chance as you get down towards the border of Ohio and Indiana, and about 20% chance when you get up here to mid-Michigan. Again, temperatures be quite cold at night in the teens mainly, and then we'll see temperatures moderate, and we'll see plenty of 30s, I think, going into next week. But boy, the old winter's big foot's about ready to come down on us. Things could get very interesting as we get into next weekend. There could be a potential storm. Behind that storm, we expect some really cold air to begin to flood across much of the plains, the Midwest, and the eastern portions of the United States. Thanks for stopping by, and have yourself a great day, a great weekend, and 73s to all.